الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Surah Baqarah, ayah number 275. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ الرِّبَا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس. A beautiful ayah of the Quran, and I'm glad that this ayah came up. So practical, and we must listen to this great hukm of Allah. Whereby Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says regarding riba, means interest. It is now becoming more and more common to deal in interest. We learn from our childhood that in Islam, riba, interest, is not allowed. That is the reason when we put our money in the bank, we make sure that we choose a type of account where we don't receive any interest. But if we do, then we make sure that whatever interest we have received, we take a note of it, and then we deal accordingly. But as the modern time is taking over us and our generations, now we are in a sort of society where giving and taking interest is now becoming very common, and we have accepted as norm of this era, this time, that okay, it's fine, it's only few pounds. If I cannot afford to buy a phone, let me just buy it on installments, while we do not realize that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala have made it haram upon each and every one of us to deal in interest. Doesn't matter, you give or you take, in both cases it is haram. Just to give you the overview of what I've just said, to put this in perspective, to make you understand how grave sin it is, gunah it is, to deal in interest. As far as my knowledge is concerned, riba is only a sin amongst all the sins that is far more worse than anything that you can name right now. Zina, committing zina, it's haram. But taking and giving and dealing in interest is far more worse than committing zina. Maybe 100 times. Very harmful. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions in this ayah, الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ الرِّبَا لَا يَقُومُونَ. Those who have eaten from the earnings from interest. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says, forget asking forgiveness on the day of judgment. They won't be able to stand in front of Allah. They won't have ability to ask Allah for the forgiveness. They will be running away. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says, إِلَّا كَمَا يَقُومُ الَّذِي يَتَخَبَّتُهُ الشَّيْطَانُ مِنَ الْمَسِّ. They will be running away, running around, just like they have been touched by shaitan with madness. They'll be running around with madness. जब कोई इंसान पागल हो जाता है, when someone loses his mental capacity and he loses his cool and he runs around, that is how a person who deals in this dunya with interest will be running around on the day of judgment. ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَا وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. When they eventually face Allah And then they will be asked, what was the reason that you dealt in interest while you already knew that Quran has made it haram upon you to deal in interest? Then they will come out with excuses and they will say that giving and taking interest is just like doing a business. It wasn't a great deal. I had to deal in interest because I was doing business. Then they will receive an answer from Allah that you think that you are talking to someone who do not have any knowledge. Allah Ta'ala says, be aware, Allah has made interest haram on you, while Allah has made business halal for you. Doing business is halal, but make sure that when it comes to interest, doesn't matter how much benefit is coming your way, but you must refrain and avoid yourself from interest. And goes to all common people as well. If you cannot afford something, don't buy it. Wait, save, and then buy it. Buying a simple thing like shoes on interest, even if it is £1 that you've given on interest, it is as haram as you've taken something on interest for £100,000. Quantity doesn't matter as long as you involve yourself in the sin. It's just like impurity. There is a glass of water, pure water, and if you drop a single drop of impurity in that glass, would you drink that water? You won't drink that water. Doesn't matter if the glass is full of pure water, but now the glass consists of one drop of impurity, but you won't drink the entire glass. It is mixed. In fact, Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions in his hadith, when you mix your halal rizq with the earnings from interest, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala will not accept your sadaqat. Allah will not accept your zakat. And it goes so worse that the umrah and the hajj which is performed by that money, Allah will not accept any hajj and umrah as well. That is how grave sin it is for us to deal in interest. We must avoid ourselves. If we go in the technicality of dealing in interest, we need a lot of time to discuss this. But if you go towards the root of this, the result comes out that the poor becomes more poor and the rich becomes more richer. That is the whole structure of interest. Doesn't matter if you are giving £1 in interest, but there'll be a million people like you who are giving that £1 in the interest, and you do not know where that money is going and what harm it is causing around the globe. So Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is our creator, and when He has given a hukm and a command, we must obey it. And when we avoid ourselves from zina, thinking that Allah has made haram, we do not gamble, we do not go in casino and gamble because Allah has made it haram. We do not eat pig and swine because Allah has made it haram. We do not consume alcohol because Allah has made it haram. Then we should not even take interest because it is the same creator who has made it haram upon us. It is as equal as everything else in Sharia. It is so unfortunate that we still involve ourselves in this sin. فَمَنْ جَاءَهُ مَوْعِدَةٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ فَانْتَهَا فَلَهُ مَا سَلَفَ. The one who avoids himself, maybe he previously dealt in interest, but now he is asked forgiveness in the court of Allah. Then Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says that he might be able to avoid the consequences and difficulties of akhirah because he has now asked forgiveness. But the condition is never return back to it. Don't deal with it again. وَأَمْرُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. It is still not confirmed that he will face difficulties or not. Because وَأَمْرُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ, his matters are in the hand of Allah. It is upon Allah to accept his forgiveness or not, and he will be dealt accordingly. وَمَنْ عَادَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Whoever returns, they are the inmates of the fire of hell. Means that those who carry on dealing in interest, they have one reward in the court of Allah, and that is the fire of hell. Hum fiha khalidun, and they will remain in it forever. So a great warning from Allah in this ayah, a clear-cut answer, a clear-cut hukm. There is no if and buts. When it comes to interest, do not involve yourselves in it. And that brings up the massive question of mortgage. What should we do about the mortgage? If you want a clear-cut answer in the light of this ayah, then you should not take even your first house under interest. That is the clear-cut answer. There is no if, there is no but. That is the reason there are many of the brothers who do not purchase the house for years because they are saving for it, and then they eventually buy. There are other aspects of Sharia where their examples have been researched by ulama kiram, and then they come up with the plan that when you are only for this country, that if you are buying your house, first house on the mortgage, then you are allowed to buy under minimum level. Maybe you're buying 1 or 2 bedroom house, which is enough for you, then you should buy. But that is your take. As far as my knowledge is concerned, when Allah has said it is haram, then it is haram. We should not deal with it. We should not touch that topic. We might buy our house after 5 years or maybe 7 years. But that is the life of this dunya, struggle. We are not here for comfort. We are here to please our Creator for the limited time. And as far as interest is concerned, we should we must stay away from it. Why? Because it is the hukm of Allah. Then Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala carries on in the next ayah by saying, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. Allah will destroy a person who deals with interest in this dunya and akhirah. There is a great destruction waiting for him. If we think that we will be able to avoid ourselves from the consequences of riba, then Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says a great destruction is waiting for the person who deals in interest. Doesn't matter if you are a businessman or doesn't matter if you are a common man, a working class man. If you deal with interest, then a destruction is waiting for you. وَيُرْبِ الصَّدَقَاتِ. And Allah increases those who give sadaqah. Means when you give sadaqah, Allah increases your wealth. And when you deal in interest, consequences of this dunya, you won't have any peace, my brothers. Then you will be complaining, I don't have peace in the house. My children don't listen to me. How your children will listen to you when you're feeding them with haram rizq? When you're filling their stomach with the earnings of haram, how will they listen to you? So destruction in this dunya and akhirah. Wallahu la yuhibbu kulla kaffarin atheem. And Allah does not love any person who's ungrateful and he commits sins in a continuous manner. When he's been warned that this is haram, don't get near to it, and he still involves himself even by knowing it, then unfortunately he will be facing the Creator Allah, and he will be answerable in the court of Allah. So a great lesson for us. Might be hard, might be a little bit tough, might be for us hard to digest, but it is the command of Allah and we must act upon it. Doesn't matter how bad we are feeling at the moment, that Imam Sahib is becoming a little bit aggressive. But when it comes to the command of Allah, it's not about being aggressive, but it is all about being Muslim. It is uh, being obedient towards the commands of Allah and towards the ahkam of Allah. So I pray, may Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala grant all of us tawfiq and hidayah.